You are now listening to the sounds of Milkcrates and Microphones.
Thank you so much for joining us now, sitting down and having a conversation with us on Friday. We are very, very excited to talk to this man. He is a legendary DJ, producer, one of the best to ever fucking do it. Give it up for the one, the only, DJ Abilities.
Thank you, my friend.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. We really, really appreciate it. This is big time for us.
Hell yeah.
No, not a problem. Not a problem.
How's how you been? How's everything going?
I'm good. You know, I actually just hit 2 years sober today.
I saw that post, man.
Yeah, congratulations.
That's amazing, dude. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, dude, that's gigantic.
Thank you. And as you guys know, because I remember you guys talked about Phonograph Phoenix. You know, if you listen, there's a song on there called Wasteland that's basically like a love song to fucking drinking, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, that just shows how like deep it went, you know? And yeah, it's wild. Like 2 years is like, 1 year felt the most wild because, you know, it's like, it's a year, you know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, damn, I did it. I went through every possible day without drinking or anything. I'm like 100%. Oh, coffee. I drink coffee, right?
Caffeine, yeah.
And I do take pre-workout though.
There you go.
For my
you go.
muscles. The gym, man, the gym has been so helpful. The gym, yoga, jogging, just like exercise is really, because I always exercised before, but like I took it up way a notch when I went sober. And I don't think there's any magic bullet. You know, everybody has their own ways of coping with vice. But to anybody out there listening who might be struggling, that might be an avenue that could work for you as well. And I know it really worked for me. It's because I've noticed, like, because I tried to quit so many times in the past, and it would succeed for a while, then it would fail. And I quit many times. And what I've realized is, like, when you quit, whatever it is, if you don't fill that time up or that energy with something positive, you're going to feel lacking. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that you can't get through it that way as well. But for me, it was always harder because it was like you feel like you're missing something. But when along with other things, just realizing how bad it realistically was for me and just, you know, I didn't think I was an alcoholic, but every doctor alive thought I was an alcoholic. You know what I mean? When you read that list, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, check. I was like, oh, shit. But to get back to my point was, I was like, well, I want to get in crazy good shape. And it's like, because if I drink, I can't be in crazy good shape. It's kind of one or the other.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
So it's like, and then you start seeing the gains and the reward, and it's like, okay, well, I have this. I'm no longer losing this. I'm gaining this.
Exactly. Because
You know what I'm saying?
drinking definitely prohibits a lot of the gains that you could be making. I mean, it swells you up. I mean, it's going to
Well, it
put a
just
lot of
stops
extra
you, yeah.
carb stops. And then you always read that the word retards the muscle, or, you know, it helps it from really not growing as well.
Building, yeah.
And you just don't have the energy. You're hungover. And then, dude, another thing too. And like, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoyed drinking a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? I like that.
Yep.
Again, that's why I made that song. But it was also coupled with a lot of just hangovers and regret too. You know, where it's like when I'm sober, I can stand by all my decisions, all my actions. And I've already drank 2 lifetimes worth of alcohol too. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's not like I didn't do it already. Like, I've already drank enough. I've been a professional DJ since I was 17. You know what I mean? Like, I've drank lifetimes worth of alcohol. And so it's just kind of like, no matter how I spin it, I'm just kind of like, I'm good. So it was just interesting. It's funny because I didn't plan this to be on this day. It just kind of happened. I was like, oh shit, this is the day. And that's kind of cool, I think.
I think that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, because it's very important, especially because a lot of people, like you were saying, don't think that they have a problem, or, you know, they go to the doctor and they check those lists and they're like, well, you know, I'm doing exactly what this guy's doing or my friend's doing, but it goes a lot deeper in a lot of situations, and it can be a lot worse. And having somebody that you look up to or somebody that is influential say that and be an example for that, it helps a lot of people.
You know, and this is the thing, is it creeps up on you too, right? It's like, I remember my drinking journey was just like, I just kind of liked having beer. And then it was like, I really like drinking. And then it's like, I need to drink. And then it's like, holy shit, I'm out. It's like, it's a gradual process. That's why I think a lot of people don't recognize that they have a problem, because it's not quick. You know what I mean? You don't notice that it's happening. So you don't notice how far gone you've gotten. And it rewires your brain and your reward system. So it's kind of like, I actually watched this video that Andrew Huberman did that helps me a lot with dopamine and alcohol. I think it actually was two separate ones. And just understanding like how it actually affects your brain was really eye-opening to me too, because it was like, wait a second, do I actually truly like alcohol, or is it just like my brain's a little rewired to think that it is? Right? And then it just kind of opens up a whole other question, like, what do you actually like? What you like and dislike is just like a manifestation of where you're at. If you're in like a real toxic place, you might think your toxic girlfriend is amazing, and then you start getting healthy and healing. You're like, man, this chick is crazy.
Yeah.
Why was I in love with her? So, and that would manifest to anything, right? It's like your likes and dislikes are just a reflection of where you are at. And so that's why it's important to like make healthy choices, because then you could trust your likes and your choices. Does that make sense?
For sure.
Makes perfect sense.
And so like alcohol was like a slow degradation of like problems I had that had been compounded and this and that. And then it's just like, you just kind of wake up like, oh. I think also what hurt me too, to a degree, was like, I still like was doing what I wanted to do more or less with music. So it was like hard to justify, oh, I got this crazy problem. It's like, well, I'm still rocking shows. I'm still making fresh stuff, like, but then I realized, well, okay, but how much more would I have been doing had I not been drinking? It's like, okay, I'm running this marathon, but I have a 20-pound backpack on. What if I just took the backpack off? I'd be running mad faster. I'd be way further. So that was like another thing that was like, just because I'm still like succeeding in spite of it, like doesn't mean it should have a place at the table, so to speak.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's been interesting. It's interesting because like that in the gym, I debated sharing online as far as social media is concerned, because I feel like there's like two ways as an entertainer you could be on social media, and neither way is wrong, but you kind of got to pick your lane. And one is like share everything. You'll have the dudes be like, what up, breakfast today? You know what I mean? They just share everything. And so it's just kind of like, they're like this ongoing TV show or something. And it's like, some people's personality works for that. And then other people like myself, I try not to post very often, but when I do, I always try to make it something very significant, or like a really cool professional photo, or like an occasional selfie, but like not do it a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's usually with something. And so it's like, I'm not spamming you to death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I debated. I was like, well, do I want to post about the gym or sobriety? I was like, I don't know. And then I just was like, wow, why not? Like, this is what I'm into.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because of your point earlier about how it's helping people. And that's been a wonderful surprise. It's like, oh, wow, this is like, people are digging this. They like seeing this journey, and it helps with motivation. And then when I thought about it, I was like, of course it does. Because when I see it from people who I like, it does the same thing to me. I was like, why would that not work the other way around for people who dig what I do? And then it kind of like became clear. I guess I just don't look at myself like that, if that makes sense.
For sure.
But I'm like, oh yeah. To some people, like they do look at me like that, and I am serious about it. So it's not it's very authentic. You know what I mean? Like I've been sober for 2 years, and I'm super into health and fitness. It's not a just something for likes or whatnot. You know what I mean? It's a real part of who I am and what I believe in. So I feel comfortable sharing, and it's awesome that people are receiving it so well.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a fitness influencer to influence someone's fitness journey as well, too. I mean, just the simplest. I mean, honestly, I think I get more motivated from somebody that isn't even the most fit person, but they're putting in the most work and going to the gym every day, because it's hard. It's not easy. And that motivates me more than seeing somebody that's jacked and always in the gym and super fit. You know what I mean?
You know what I would add too is and there's no right or wrong, right? It's just like a different angle. But to your point is, when you see a fitness influencer, it's like, oh, it's their job. Of course they can look like that.
Yeah.
But like with me, like I don't look necessarily like a fitness influencer, but I'm a DJ and a producer. So it's like for most people who have regular jobs that they need to do, it's like I already got my job and I'm in shape. So then that's more like attainable. It's like, oh shit, Abilities is in good shape and he's always cutting and making beats. Whereas like a fitness influencer is like, well, of course they're in shape. That's their job.
That's all they got to do.
That's all they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would lend some that makes sense to what you're saying about how that could add actually even possibly more motivation because it seems more feasible and attainable.
More relatable for sure.
That said, I am thinking about starting a fitness account though.
Do it. Cool. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because I'm almost done with yoga teacher training. And so I've been into yoga for over 10 years. I'm like really, really into yoga. It's like when I'm at the gym, I get pumped. It's easy to take a selfie like, what up? I'm here,
Yeah.
If I'm going to be doing like warrior twos and like, I kind of need somebody else to like be able to take the proper pictures and stuff. So I got to figure that out. But like, that is something I want to do. And then I want to like make music to my yoga flows, and it's like a whole thing.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Ability Fitness. Man. We'll be on the lookout for the Ability Fitness. That being said, what made you know that this time was different when you got sober? Like, how did you know? Like, oh, this is the one. This is sticking now.
It was like so. Like I said, I had tried to stop multiple times.
Yeah.
And I think each time, at least for me, but I think this probably rings true with others as well, is like each time you stop and then you fail, you're kind of a little bit stronger than you were before, right? Because like you learned, maybe you went a little bit further, you learned a little bit more, you have more resolve, you're more disappointed that you started drinking again. Like I'm an optimist, so it's like I try to put things into that frame. But I'm telling you, man, one of the things that really helped me a lot was finding these videos, these Andrew Huberman videos, the one on dopamine and the one on alcohol, because I was like, why? I wanted to know why. You know what I mean? That some people can go to AA and the 12 steps and more power to them if that works for them. Like somebody on my post today was like talking about Jesus and how it helped them. And I'm like, that's awesome for you, whatever you need to do. But for me, I needed the scientific reasons. I was like, what is happening to my brain? Why is this so difficult? And then I saw these videos and I really digested them and it just made things clearer for me. And I was like, oh, that's why this is happening. And then, a couple of weeks down the line when I get cravings again, it's kind of like, oh, this is what's happening. And I understood it more. Also coupled with what I was saying previous, setting clear-cut goals that would be hindered by drinking again. So it's kind of like, okay, I know why I'm craving it. I know what's happening to me. And I know if I go down this, it's going to hurt these other things that I want to accomplish. And I think that recipe is the one that wound up working for me.
Awesome. Did you feel at first it kind of difficult to create without substance, or was that not something that you used as a crutch at all anyways?
Because like I said, I've gone gaps being sober. So like on Phonograph Phoenix, like Wasteland's obviously on there. So I was fucking, drunk for some of that shit. But for large chunks of that, I was sober. Okay. So it was like I knew that I could do it without sobriety or with sobriety, excuse me. And like you don't need that stuff. If you're a creative person, you're a creative person. Like I used to subscribe to that when I was way younger, when I was like smoking copious amounts of weed in my teenage years and 20s. Yeah. I thought that it like made me better, and I was wrong. But one of the things that I think that stuff can help with, but you could still achieve it without it, is just looking at things from a different perspective. That's really what it is. It's not weed or acid or whatever it is. It's not necessarily that. It's just that it's enabling you to check things out a little bit differently, right? So, but I think you could do that just by opening your mind more, or reading a book that's interesting, or exercising super vigorously, or having interesting conversations. It's just about shifting perspective a little bit, and that's totally achievable without substance. And you could make a strong case that it's even better because you're clearer. You're probably going to retain what you've learned better. You know, you get hella fucked up and drunk. And also, too, like I gotta tell you something. When I stopped smoking weed, I used to smoke so much weed, and I was just blazed. And I made this beat, y'all. And I swear to you, I thought this beat was the next level beat. I was like, I cracked the code. Your boy is like,
it's fucking Neo. He's Matrix. This is the one.
I hit the next level, right? I pass out because I'm so fucking high. And then I wake up, you know, and I'm like, damn, I can't wait to fucking hear this beat. This shit was like a kick, a hi-hat, and like a pan. Oh. And like that was it. And I remember being like, oh shit, I gotta stop smoking weed. Because I was just so high. It just sounded so incredible, but only because I was high. Yeah. You know, I was stone cold sober. It was just like, it reminded me like when you see stoners just looking at like a brick wall or something, you know, you're like, oh, look at all the details. And it's like, yeah, there are a lot of details in there, but it's also just because you're high.
Yeah. You know I mean? You're looking from a different view, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And it can make mundane seem more interesting as well.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, that was another thing with drinking, dude, is I was like, it's incredible how drinking can turn anything into something. Right? One of the things that I really liked about becoming sober, and still like, is I don't do shit unless I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sober. Like if I'm at a show, I'm staying at the show because it's fresh.
Yeah.
Now, if I was drinking, I might just stay till bar closed because I'm drinking, not because the show is good.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool. Alcohol and drugs can turn anything into an activity because that becomes the activity. When you erase that from the equation, you're only putting yourself in positions you want to be in because there's no fucking, you know, like beer goggles. You know what I'm saying? Like for life. And that's been rewarding. Now, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I'll have like, you know, a boring Tuesday or something where I'm like, fuck, man, post-gym, you know, a couple beers and a movie would hit crazy hard today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would. But I know, like, if I open that door, then, you know, maybe it's a lot of beers on Saturday, and then the next weekend it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's like, it's just, again, it's like a slippery slope. So it's just kind of like, I'll just have my boring Tuesday. And then also I won't be hungover on Wednesday, you know, and then I could hit it hard at the gym again or yoga or whatever I want to go do. Also, too, it costs money, man.
Oh, it's expensive.
Like,
very expensive.
It's just expensive, you know? I'm just like, shit.
That's the best point of view I've ever heard anybody have on that take, though, of you being sober. You only put yourself in the winning position. I mean, that's so true. I mean, when I'm drinking sometimes, we'll be like, let's kick it, but they just start a happy hour, so we could just chill a little bit longer. Well, yeah.
But it's not that you're staying because it's fun or it's a cool
it's because
experience.
The drinks are now cheap now and da-da-da-da. But yeah, dude, you saying that, it makes so much clear sense. It's like you spoke exactly how someone should put it. I mean, if someone else saw it in that projective or in that situation, I mean, people might want to consider not drinking as much or doing that because that's such a good way to put it. I've never ever heard anybody put it like that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what you want to do when you're like that because you'd be like, damn, I love this. Like, don't get me wrong, I still like sports, but like, not like I did when I was drinking.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can sit and watch football all day if you're drinking.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're so cold sober. I'm not watching football all day, not even close. I watch the fucking playoffs. Like now with sports, like I watch the playoffs and the championships. I can't even watch the regular season.
Yeah.
But when I was drinking, like I easily could because it's just kind of it's the beer goggles, man. It's like the light. It's just and I said, like, there's two sides to that coin, right? Like, obviously, I'm sober, so I feel like that's better, but at least for me. But there are some times when I am bored, where I'm just flat out bored, and I'm just like, fuck. like a beer would make this Tuesday movie watching better, right?
Yeah,
it's
fuck
just if you have a tendency to be extreme like I do, it's like I gotta point my guns the right direction, and that's why it's like, because if I'm gonna drink, I'm probably gonna be an alcoholic. If I'm gonna, that's why I stay away from hard drugs. It's like I fucking have no fucking desire to do hard drugs. So, but if I'm a gym, because I'm gonna be a gym rat, like a hardcore gym rat. Like, dude, a couple of months ago, I went to the gym 42 times in one month.
There you go.
And I went to hot yoga. It was like the most. I had never done that much exercise in a month. It was insane. But my body just was like, I just needed to do it. Yeah. But when you break that down, that's silly. But I go, well, shit, if I wasn't on that mission, like, that would have been just a crazy alcohol binges.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like knowing who you are. And if you're that type of person, like, put yourself in a position to use those traits as virtue as opposed to vice.
Yeah. You definitely have to replace, like you said, you have to replace it. You can't just
think you're going to go
cold turkey and keep doing your same daily routine and think that everything's going to be fine. You got to replace it with something.
You can do it, but it's way harder.
Yeah.
There's energy
to be burnt. You're going to feel lost. You know what I'm saying? You're going to feel like something's missing. And when you feel like something's missing, that's just a hard thing for people to deal with.
For
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'd say that the two things you want to do is, one, find something to replace that time and energy with that's positive, and then two, research the actual science behind why you're doing whatever your specific vice is. Right? It could be anything, but just research are people attracted to that? Why do people have difficulty letting go of it? Why do people have difficulty overusing it, et cetera, et cetera? Because once you can, like, then you can kind of put it outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And like observe it and be like, oh, this is what's been happening to me. Not this is who I am. This is what's been happening to me. And now it's over there, and you can observe it. And you're like, oh, that's there. Well, I want to do this thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of separate yourself from it. And it at least has been helpful for me. Like I said, I don't have the magic bullet or whatnot, but I have been through this, and it's what's helped me.
Yeah. You replaced a bad habit with a great habit. I mean, and if you think about it, it's beneficial for you all the way around, and the people around you too, and your family. They're going to see you live longer now. Your health is better. You're probably all around in a better mood all the time.
Yeah, better example for your family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're showing
also,
everybody that.
I would add not only my family and friends, but I'm a public figure. But people who come see me, it's like, dude, I'm honored to be able to create art and have people come and take their time, drive, you know what I'm saying? Like, to come see me. It's like, I owe it to people to be the best version of me that I could be.
Yeah.
And it's like, that brings me joy. And it's like I just played at St. Patrick. You know, St. Patrick, if there's ever a day to drink, it's fucking St. Patrick's Day. You know what I'm saying? I just played this past weekend. You know, I'm stone cold sober. And it's just a fucking blast, you know, and everybody has a blast. That's the thing. I don't judge people for drinking. Like, I really enjoy drinking. I just know that I'm one of the people who's extreme and took it too far. You know what I mean? There are countless people who can have a couple drinks and have fun. And I've done that. It's just, that usually will only last like a week, you know?
Yeah.
or 2 weeks. And then it's like,
slippery slope.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of like.
But you figure that they can tell though when you're happy and you're in a good mood. It conveys through your music. I mean, you can see that probably, and it's probably what people want. They want to see you healthy, so you play the best show you can. I mean, I feel like you developed a way of speaking through your music in a way, like you're conveying emotion all through this newest album you have out there. It's amazing. I mean, Phonograph Phoenix the whole way through it's crazy. I really love Waves. Waves is amazing. I didn't expect,
thanks, man.
And I didn't expect to even hear, you know, Mikey at all on the album. That must have, and on Steel, that's one of my probably my favorite song on the whole album. And
I'll be honest with you.
I think it's mine too.
I'll be honest with you. I've listened to the album multiple times, but I was running it back today on my way. I'm a flooring contractor, and I was on the way to a job site, and I was just running back the album on my way there, and that song still came on, and I teared up, man, and I had to pull over and clean myself up before I got to the job site, just because of I mean, for us, huge Eyedea and Abilities fans. We saw you guys in 2003, I believe it was, in San Francisco at the Fillmore on Seven Travels tour, and it was the first time I've ever seen a live DJ MC combination together. Like that. Obviously, I have seen DJs back up MCs, but nothing like to that extreme.
Not a symbiotic.
Not where he would come up to you at the tables and you guys would work together.
You guys are speaking in different languages to each other, but understanding. It is what it looked like at 15 years old.
But we're 15, 16 years old, and it's those are formidable years. So for me, to hear that song back today again, and to hear the way that you used his vocals and everything, it was just amazing. I would just want to say thank you very much. You there?
You still there?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you just cut out for 10, 15 seconds. But I think I
just want to say thank you. Thank you for that.
Elaborate on something that you said so that song was the last song I made for Phonograph Phoenix, right? Because I knew how difficult it would be. And when you say you teared up, have you ever heard, it's a famous author. It's like Dickens or one of those guys, you know what I mean? One of those like canon author guys. It's no tears in the author, no tears in the reader, right? So it's basically saying you need to take it to that place. And so when you say that about Still, that's mission accomplished to me, because when I sat down and wrote that guitar riff, the main riff, I was like, if I don't cry when I'm making this, it's not good enough. Yeah. And I just, and then when the tears came, I was like, okay, this is actually worthy of making the song about Mike. And then I started making it, and it was just too sad though. I was like, oh my God, like this is too heavy. Yeah. And I was like, this isn't really it's not gonna be as powerful as it should be just being brutally sad. And so what I realized is I was like, oh, I can like make this a journey, whereas like that song is like black hole at the center of our galaxy, we're still suffering, we're still aching, right? So that's the representation of all of us who miss him still, right? Like we're still suffering, we're still aching. The black hole is him being gone, right? But then if you notice, then in the middle of the song, it's the shoot a hole in the sky, rip it open, climb inside. That would be like him, his art, his energy, like still existing and moving to the heavens, so to speak, right? And then the second verse is the like day by day trying to maintain, which is like us, myself, like making through the getting the grieving process and still continuing on, right? And so that is my favorite song on that record, because one, it's just about Eyedea, and two is I just think the story arc of that song is just like spot on, and I'm just really proud of that, because usually turntables, it's like a wickedly abstract instrument, and it's great for being gnarly and fresh and just like, you know what I mean? Like it's so hip hop, but it's hard to convey other styles of emotions, you know? Like that's another reason why I'm glad you brought up Waves, because like Waves is like this kind of like chill, you know what I mean? It's like it's not necessarily like b-boy in your face emotion either. It's just like,
well, it takes you from the beginning where everything's like popping fast, and then it breaks you into waves, and then it kind of chills you out, kind of mellows you down for a little bit, and it has a nostalgic sound to it. I don't know what it is. It's like I don't know how to put my finger on it, but it feels like I've been there before.
Interesting. And so the reason why I called it Waves, because that's what it reminded me. It reminded me of like driving on the ocean front with like the sun setting. You know what I mean? You're just kind of like coasting, you know? And so that would be another manifestation of that. But I feel like Still is like, I can't believe I was able to create that with turntables and the production, obviously, but like as a whole,
it's amazing.
And it's amazing. I'm really proud of it, and yeah, man, thank you.
You guys like that. It was definitely the journey of it. hearing his voice obviously, and then the way that you conveyed it, but like you said, the journey of it, the build of it, and it was a great representation, and definitely did a great job. And thank you so much for that, because it's awesome for us to have that to listen to now.
Thank you. It's fresh because when I play live, too, a lot of times I'll play still right before like the big Eyedea hit, and it just like it just meshes. It goes over well, really. Yeah. Are you guys gonna come out to see Ali and I?
We're hoping to. We're gonna try to make it work out.
Okay, because if you do, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited
to see it work. So it's fresh.
That being said, do you feel like By the Throat is ahead of its time still? I do. I mean, and that also being said, 16-year anniversary this year. Huge, dude. 16 years? Yeah. Come on now. Give it up for the man. 16 years for that? That's amazing. And I still, to this day, I put it on and just still
definitely I feel like when we heard it at the moment, it was one of those albums that you're like, this is ahead of its time. I felt like.
And then when I put it on, I still feel like it's ahead of its time. Like people are barely catching up is what I feel like.
I think so. Ahead of its time is tricky. You guys can say it. I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
I just don't. But I think another way to put it is we made 3 classic records.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think By the Throat is going to be, I think all 3 of them are going to still be fresh 30 years from now.
Fuck yeah.
Right? It's like, and so if that's how you want to describe ahead of its time, then that would work.
Yes.
Right?
That's
but to me, I think it's more timeless is more the word that I'm looking for. Right? It's like, it still sounds fresh.
Yes.
And I think that more or less that's what you're getting at is it's like, oh man, this is still fire. And it's like, it's crazy how things can do that. Like, you'll listen to stuff from like the 60s and you'll be like, damn, this still sounds like it sounds a little dated, obviously.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't, you're like, this still sounds hard. And you'll go and listen and watch video, even like grainy footage, and you'll be like, damn, this came out of these people, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I think that, and at least I hope that Eyedea and I did that, and it seems, people like yourselves seem to mirror that sentiment that it was achieved, and that makes me really happy.
Yeah,
we've talked to people that dream or through the podcast, that dream about wanting to be at these shows that we've been to, and then we look at it like we maybe have took it for granted ourselves of being there at the time, and like people are thinking, I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have been. And I look at him and I go, we were there.
Yeah.
How lucky are we to really see it? And it's crazy to think that we were there and you guys are just as amazing then as you are now. And it's fucking crazy how you guys are time machine, timeless.
And everybody though is going to have their version of that, right? So it's like, it's about like minimizing regret for not seeing and then maximizing like, who are you seeing now?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like an example of me was like, I got to see Nirvana live. Whoa, most people would be like, what? Like, what? You got to see Nirvana? That's crazy. And so, and you guys got to see Mike and I together, you know what I mean? Which is very unique. We were really, that's something when you talk about ahead of time, that's something that I think is not to, I guess I don't need to create a hierarchy, but like our music, the recorded versions are what it is. But I think what could possibly be even more rare is our togetherness live. Mm-hmm. Like you just never see rappers and DJs like really locked in like that. You know what I mean? Like you didn't really see it before we came around, and you don't really see it now. Yeah. And forgive me, I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, and I'm sure people are doing super fire shit. Don't get me wrong. Even now that I'm thinking about it, like LL Cool J and Z Trip are doing super fresh shit. Like people do it, but it's just that they didn't do it the way we do it. I know we definitely did it our own way, and it's just really rare to see. Yeah.
It was so high tense.
That's why getting to work with Ali, like that's going to be awesome because it's like nothing will ever be able to recreate what Eyedea and I had together, But Ali is fucking incredible in his own way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's going to be a way where we can do our version of that. And it's like, I'm just grateful to be able to do that again on some level and in a new way. And it's, to me, it's awesome that it's Ali too, because it's like Ali is part of the whole thing.
Family, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like people like yourselves who have been E&A fans, it's like, you're like, Brother Ali, yes. You know what I'm saying? It's not like some random fucking whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that makes sense. And anybody who's seen Ali live, have you guys ever seen Ali live?
I have, yeah.
Yep. He's so fucking good live. Dude.
Very good.
Like, I have to say this, I'm like, there's really dope rappers and there's really dope MCs, and they're not necessarily the same person all the time, right? Like, you have guys who just can spit bars, but live, you know, they run out of breath, their mic control's bad, they just can't really connect with the audience.
Background
or like
vocals
vice versa,
playing.
you know, you have these incredible hosts who could get the crowd to say anything, you know, are clear as crystal clear through the speakers, but, you know, like, be kicking some like 1984 raps, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's too
bad
basic
stage
and
presence,
shit.
yeah.
And then you have like KRS-One, Brother Ali, like rappers like that, where you're like, not only do they got bars, but like their crowd control is just like, they just fucking get them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, that's going to be an interesting thing to team up with. Because Mikey's thing was, he was captivating and he was charismatic, but it was in more like a rock star kind of way.
Yeah.
Less in like a, when I say this, you do this, like, boom, like working the crowd. It was more like, I'm like this virtuoso artist, and like I'm going to dive so deep into technical skill coupled with intense emotion that it's just like awe-inspiring, right?
Yeah.
And then we would bounce off one another, and it was like, it was very unique in that regard. But to work with Ali in a way that's like more, for lack of a better word, like a traditional kind of way, but just in an exceptional version. And then obviously the way he raps is very unique onto himself and his content and stuff. It's just, it's really cool, because it's like it's enough of what I had previously done and loved, but enough of new and different at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And that's how, because I don't want to abandon what I did, but I don't want to replicate what I did. You know what I mean? It's like,
you want to stay new. You want to keep pushing.
Yeah, I want the best of both worlds. Yeah. And so I'm really excited to see how Ali and I's show comes off, because I think the sky's the limit for us.
That's going to be amazing.
I was going to say too, that's got to be exciting to be able to do something, because, like you said, Eyedea was more of like an enigma on stage. You know, like crazy energy, running, and just like fast lyrics. And Brother Ali is more stoic and like you said, crowd control and kind of stand on stage and walking around, and the voice. And
this is the difference, right? So like, Eyedea was more virtuistic with how fast and slow he could get, right? Just from like a technical standpoint, coupled with like theatrical and a wider range of emotion, right? So it'd be like yelling, or like, you know, like very like sad, or like that's why I think theatrical is a good word.
For sure.
Just like, where like Ali is more like, Ali like gets in this zone and he's just like in the zone, man. And then over time, you just lock in. It's like, it reminds me of like, if you go to like a really good house music show, it's just like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, like I'm in this zone. And then like, once you're in the zone, then when he'll be like, make noise, and you're like, and you do it because you're like, I'm so locked in to this thing. And then he starts going here and there, but it always is maintained in this like,
he's hypnotized you,
overarching energy.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, and they're both beautiful. It's some apples and oranges.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Situation.
When was When was the first time that you saw an MC DJ live together, where you were like, "Wow, that's"?
Oh, you know what? I can tell you that actually, if it's not the first, it was one of the first, and it's Carnage.
Oh
Who's
yeah,
on the
fuck
DNA
yeah.
record.
Oh, of
Him and
course.
his DJ Excalibur at First Avenue, and they were really fresh. And I was really young, and I remember Carnage rapped something about Yoda. And so I was like, oh, Star Wars reference. And, we're talking, like 30 years ago, So it was like, wow, that's wild. And then Excalibur was cutting up like the car screeching away sound or something with just some like super clean, nasty transforms. And so that might not have been in the first, but that's what popped right in my head. Because I know that was like, if it wasn't the first, it was one of the first meaningful versions of that.
That made an impact.
Probably matters more anyways, right?
Sure.
Than just seeing something random.
How did you figure out that you were going to start scratching? Like, what? I mean, like, who put you on? Did you go somewhere?
I loved hip hop, and I did everything. I did all the elements, but scratching is just the one that really like jumped out at me. Plus, I was ambidextrous when I was younger.
Oh wow.
Fully ambidextrous, and then as I got older, I draw with this hand, and then I would play sports with this hand. But I've actually been getting fully ambidextrous again, where I'm writing with this hand and doing record scratching with this hand and doing my face. So I'm becoming 100% ambidextrous, and it's wild. It's like making my vision better.
That's crazy.
My hearing better. It's interesting, man. When you could truly express yourself equally with either side of your body, it's a trip. And so, but to get to your question, I think DJing worked because, particularly scratching, because the record hand, it's more like this kind of calligraphy motion, even like a pen, you know what I mean, like these swoopy, and then the fader hand is very like mathematic and rhythmic, kind of like, if you're shooting a basketball or you're throwing a ball, it's like.
Yeah.
It's mathematic, you know what I'm saying? And so when I sat down to scratch, the skill sets that each side of my body had, it made sense to sit down and do. And then I just liked it. I really liked the sound. I liked the look. Like, it just was more captivating to me. Like, I did like breakdancing. I liked rapping, but I wasn't really good at rapping at all. And graffiti, like, I really liked visual art. But graffiti heads, like going out and bombing, that's a whole different, universe. That's like, that takes a certain unique personality type to do, which really wasn't in my wheelhouse. But I loved visual art. So it's like, I liked all of the aspects, and they all were meaningful. But the DJing and scratching it really just made the most sense. And it's what I enjoyed the most. So it just... And then I met Mikey Eyedea early on, and he was so good at rapping. It was just kind of like, well, he should just rap.
Yeah. I'll just scratch.
I'm going to look I already am not very good at rapping, but I'm going to look really fucking bad next to this guy. So, like, he could just wear that part, and then I'll wear my part, and then we'll just keep it moving. And now you guys know who we are. So apparently, mission
it worked
accomplished.
out. Yeah. You made the right choice, I think, in that. You talked about you guys were really young. You said 17. Were you 17 when you first went on tour?
I've been a professional DJ since I was 17. We met when we were 14 and 16.
Yeah.
And then we were doing shows within the first year. So
when did you go on tour first? How old were you when you first went on tour?
Oh man, well, the first tour I went on was with Atmosphere and Rubber Room, and that was, man, I'm confident I wasn't. Actually, I know for a fact I wasn't 21.
Oh wow, so young.
Yeah, man. Like,
how'd you get hooked up with Slug?
Well, we're all in Minnesota, you know what I'm saying? So, and me and Mikey were fucking catching wreck early on,
so
right?
Sick.
So it was like, we had our props right out the gate, realistically. And so, obviously I can't speak for Slug, but I just assume he was like, DJ abilities is fresh.
yeah.
He asked me to DJ for him,
yeah.
and I was like, sure. And so I did his backups too. Like, it's like it was fun. You know, I look back on it, and I'm like, it was interesting. And then Eyedea wound up joining, which was fresh in its own way, but and to Sadiq's credit, Sadiq is the CEO of Rhymesayers.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Oh, you guys shouldn't do that because it's going to confuse the audiences," and it did, like because people thought me and Mikey were in atmosphere, and that was kind of a downside on a certain level. But we had a lot of fun and we had a lot of really good shows, so it's just kind of like, you know, it just kind of is what it is. But so I just like to focus on the positive parts of it. You know, there were definitely a lot of really cool things that we were able to do.
What made you guys change from because you guys originally were 6 Cents, right?
Yep.
What made you change the Eyedea and abilities? Just go with the names.
I think that, you know, 6 Cents was like kind of hard to say. You know, it's like six. That's like a kind of a weird word. And I think maybe the movie came out around then, but I don't remember if that was.
It was right around that time.
A retroactive, I'm happy we didn't use that because of the movie. So I would have to look at the timeline and see, because I don't really remember. But I know that we wanted to change our name to something else. We almost changed it to Loose Change, strangely enough.
Oh, man.
That's sick.
And then I think we had a big show coming up, and we didn't have a name figured out. And so we were just like, well, let's just do Eyedea and abilities. And then it just kind of stuck. Because it was just kind of like, well, this sounds kind of, because his name too, the EYE is like fucking money. So it kind of, it gave it a twist. And then the like Eyedea and abilities, it's like, it accidentally, thematically makes sense. You know, it's like you have the idea and then you have the abilities to accomplish it, you know, but that wasn't intended, you know what I mean? But it did kind of work that way. And then we just didn't have to think of a name because it was like, well, that's the name. Also, another thing too is for years we wanted to have another rapper in the group too.
Oh wow!
So because like I always thought, you know, like the De La Soul, Run DMC, the 2 rappers, 1 DJ. Like I love that dynamic. I think for hip hop that is actually the best.
Yeah, because your rapper has a backup vocalist, and then the DJ. It's a good combo.
Yeah, it's just like drum, bass, guitar, lead singer for rock or something. It just works. You know what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't mean it needs to be that way, but there's a reason that's the classic setup. And when you have 2 rappers, it's not like a rapper and a hype man. It's just they can, you know, go back and forth, and it just keeps it fresh. But it gets to a point where it's like nobody, because Mike and I were so close, so not only would you need to be at least in the realm of what our friendship was, but you would have to definitely be in the realm of skill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? like. And so we never found that right combination. And realistically, Mikey had so much ability to go different places with his content and his technical skill that there was enough variety from one person. And then as I got better and better at scratching, my scratching became the second rapper
for sure.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if there was ever a group that didn't need 2 rappers, it's like it was us, you know, because
it always felt like you guys were talking to each other.
Aforementioned things.
Yeah, you guys were always throwing it back and forth like you would, like 2 rappers were throwing it back. Definitely.
That's how it felt to me. Anytime I seen you guys live, it felt like
did you guys ever have any prospects for that 3rd member?
We did. Like I said, this is way long ago.
Yeah.
Right? Years before Firstborn. So we did, but it was like, it was short-lived. It was just kind of like, this probably isn't going to work, finding somebody else. And it doesn't need to, because we are more than enough. I just think that, but we did have a Crescent Moon was our hype man, quote unquote, who would spit verses.
Yeah.
So live, we still kind of had that energy for a while before we moved just to me and him alone live. And it was for those reasons, because 2 rappers on stage, there is something about it that's fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, with me and the turntables and the scratching, it's just it's not necessary. Like I am, and now I'm even on the mic way more than I ever was. Shout out to Z-Trip. He's the one that told me just to be more active on the mic, and he's the GOAT on the mic. Like Zach is like I love Zach. He's freaking amazing. And he's such a pioneer. Like I will always take his advice to heart. And I did. And it took me a little while to get comfortable on the mic. But once I did, I'm like, oh, this is helpful. Like this definitely can like help bring people in and get people engaged more. And like, there's always peaks and valleys inevitably. And so if you have good mic skills, you can like make those valleys actually like miniature peaks. Yeah. You can be like, oh, make some noise, you know?
Yeah.
Like you can help kind of guide it through in an interesting way. And yeah.
It helps with the ebbs and flows of the show as well, for sure.
On the latest album, it's 8 songs. Was that intentional, or was there some things that you were just kind of like, I don't think this is good enough?
And they're all pretty short. They're all under 3 minutes.
Super
right?
great, easy listen. Put it on, go to the gym. I've killed it many times with the gym with this album. So like I said, super easy to listen and keep you pumped the whole fucking way through. But yeah,
I love the gym.
yeah, it's perfect for the gym.
Well, I could break it down like this. So there could have been more songs on it, but Illmatic is my favorite hip hop record.
Oh yeah.
And got to be probably top 5 just records realistically
of all time, yeah.
And because there is no number one; it's all based on the mood.
It's all subjective. Like, it's all subjective art.
Yeah.
But it's past that threshold of like it's got to be one of them. So I subscribe to the quality over quantity, less is more theory. So I wasn't too stressed out about having it overly long, and I did have other songs that could have been on it. But for me, every one of those songs passed a certain threshold. Like let's just use like a grading system for ease, right? So I wanted every song to be an A. So every one of those songs on there is 90 to 100. You know what I mean? And I had some 87s that could have been on there, but I was like, nah, I like it like this. And I get that it's short. But also another thing too, fellas, is there's a reason you don't hear records like Phonograph Phoenix, man. That shit took fucking forever, homie. Yeah. Like finding all those different sounds and vocals to make cohesive songs like that. And then to scratch it all so that it makes sense. Also, there's no samples on it as far as like the beats, like I wrote everything out. Like it took me forever. And it was like, at some point, I guess got to release this thing, And so, I've had people be disappointed that it's not longer, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions, but I just want people to know that it's because, one, I wanted it to just be that level of quality, and 2, it was incredibly time consuming, more time consuming than I think you could imagine how long it took me to make those songs. And how I know people can grasp that if they're having trouble with that is think about a record that sounds like Phonograph Phoenix. Please tell me another record that sounds like that record.
You're speaking a whole different language.
The reason why you can't say anything, that's why it took so long.
Yeah. You're speaking a whole nother language. Like I said, you're conveying emotions. That's why it's got to be hard, and it's got to be so crazy to be able to speak with through sounds and through feelings through sounds is what I mean. That's crazy.
Also, as a fan, I would rather hear a 20-minute album where I can listen to all 20 minutes and be happy with it than listen to an hour of an album
skips.
And I'm like, oh, let's go to the next one, and I found
no
15
skips.
minutes.
I want to add another thing, or redundancy.
Yeah.
So this is another thing, is like, okay, that record is only 8 songs, but you will listen to all 8 songs, to your point. Whereas like you might have an album that's 15 songs, but guess what? You only wind up listening to 6.
Yeah,
because the other ones aren't good, or they're worse versions of the 6 that you actually like.
Yep.
Whereas on Phonograph Phoenix, all 8 are different, and all 8 pass that threshold. So you're like, oh, they're all delicious. You know what I'm saying? They're all. There's no slacking. Every one of those songs. Like I said, I had other songs that I still think were good, but it was like clear to me. I was like, There's not as good as these other 8 though.
So,
and I was like, so if it's on there, it's just not as good. And like in today's day and age too, like, you know, it's not put in a CD, put in a tape. It's like we listen to music more a la carte anyways, right? We're making all of our own playlists.
Yep.
And so I was like, let me just have theoretically like 8 singles, and then people can just kind of like throw them in wherever they want. And then on vinyl, if you were to listen to it on vinyl, it's 4 songs a side, which is what you want for vinyl. And it sequences well for vinyl, where each side, there's like a beginning, there's the middle, and there's the end. To your point, Waves. Waves is the first song on the second side. And that do-do-do-do, it's like, it feels very like, oh,
Sets a mood.
It changes it, yeah.
Saying? And then Badman is the last song on the first side. So it's almost like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like this like
it ends abruptly kind of.
conflict.
Yeah.
You know, there's conflict and this and that, and it's like, so it's all, and then mission ending, you know, it's like, and then the first step. So it's like, it's complete. I'm more interested in complete art than just like having it longer. Like, why does my movie need to be 2.5 hours? Like, edit. Like, so I'm really into reading. I got super into reading during COVID, and it's like my favorite authors. It's just like they just get to it, man. Like, I'll be reading books that I'm like, I like this book, but I'm like, damn, they just elaborate too much on shit that doesn't need to be elaborated about. Like, shout out to Blake Crouch. Blake Crouch, his books be like this thick, man. But they just, those are hitters,
Straight
man.
to it.
Hitters.
Those are the kind of books I need.
They just keep it moving, man. And it's like, I just, that's how I like art. I like art edited down. I want so like, there's artists, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. And honestly, I can't even think of their name right now. But I'll just see, they'll have these just like huge catalogs at the bookstore. And I've read their books before, and it was okay. But like, I just look at their catalog, I'm like, there's no way this is fire. Because I'm like, nobody is that big of a genius where they can execute that much quality product. I was like, when I see this is a person who doesn't self-edit themselves enough, and it quite possibly is fucking like a narcissist and just thinks everything they write is like worthwhile. Yeah. It's like, there is no way you should have this much. You should cut this into like half minimum, and it'll be that much better. You know what I'm saying?
For
like,
sure.
You got to self-edit and self-critique. And that's to the point of never releasing anything. And that's kind of what happened with Phonograph Phoenix. Is I was like, well, at some point I got to release this thing. You know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of let go and not overly critique. But damn, you got to critique a little bit, man.
For
like,
sure.
trim the fat. You know what I'm saying?
You get it oversaturated, and it just becomes less meaningful, and you know, stuff. It doesn't mean as much.
1,000%. It's that threshold, dude. Like, I'm not trying to be here for 70s and 80s, man. Like 90s only. Yeah. And I have respect for your guys' time as listeners. It's like, I'm already going to go through all the shit, so you don't have to. That's one of the cool things about being a DJ. You know, you come see me live. It's like, I'm going to jam-pack 60 of your most beloved songs in 60 minutes, you know what I mean? And just give you just the best parts. Just boom, 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 boom. Here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. It's like, that's my job. So you don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't have to pay to listen to my, like, okay shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to pay for my premium shit, man. We only got so much time on this earth, man. Like, I don't want to waste your time. And so, like, Phonograph Phoenix, maybe it's a little short, but damn, I'm not wasting any of your time. Now you got more time to go listen to other fire music. Yeah. Because you didn't have to listen to track 11 that was just the worst version of track 3.
No, you know what I do? I listen to it twice. When I'm in the gym, I listen to it twice. I ain't fucking around. I listen to it twice, and then I get into some of your other little stuff here and there. But yeah, that gets me through, no problem.
When you now that you performed, has it been? I mean, obviously, it's been an evolution since Mikey's gone, but like the evolution of your performance and just performing by yourself. How was that? Kind of learning that and redoing that. Was that something that was exciting to learn something new or do something new, or was it kind of, you know,
were you worried?
Scared?
Yeah, were you worried that you wasn't going to be the same anymore?
Well, I wasn't worried because I knew that I could do it, and it was exciting. but it was very daunting. You know what I mean? And it was like, there's a reason it took so long for Phonograph Phoenix to come out, because like I had to become I had to be able to do shows to make money.
Yeah.
So like I had to learn how to perform by myself after really being a producer and a turntablist. I really wasn't a DJ. Even though I was DJ abilities, I was really producer turntablist abilities, not so much of a DJ. So I had to take years to become a DJ and be able to do a full show. And then I had to go back and learn how to make music and become a producer and turntablist solely through Phonograph Phoenix. And it's just like, it's been a long, long journey. But now I feel like, okay, I'm finally here. Like I can headline, I can do my own sets, I can produce and do my own music. Like I have these skill sets. So now I'm like, I'm ready. But I had to go through what people usually have to go through once. I had to go through it twice.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's another reason why being sober and being healthy is so smart for me, because it's like, I have to do this again. You know what I'm saying? So I have to maintain my vitality and like be energetic and like, cause like I had to do it twice.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and it's just not what most people have to do.
Yeah.
And it was either that or stop though. That's one of the cool things about when you have to do something. It's like, well, or I could quit.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I don't want to quit, so I guess I better lace them up, man, and get to work.
We're glad that you didn't.
Yeah, hell
quit.
yeah. You talk about it with so much passion. It makes me feel like you love doing it, and that's what we want to see. I mean, you talk to some people sometimes, and they don't seem passionate about their work, so you're like, why should I be passionate about your
Yeah,
work?
we talk about that on here all the time when we, in like artistic or in creative situations, when the person that's being creative is having fun doing it, it shows it translates and it shows to the audience or the listener, the viewer, or whoever.
Which goes back to what he said.
That's
Yeah.
another thing about being sober, which is good, because don't get me wrong, I've had great shows when I was drunk and twisted, you know what I mean? Because like when you hit that sweet spot in drinking, that is fun, you know, but it's real easy to go over. You can be a little under. It's like, whereas like when I'm sober, it's like I'm gonna hit it every time.
There, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be honest, and I'm gonna have more understanding of what's going on with the audience. Like when you're drinking or inebriated, it's easier to become internalized.
For sure.
Right? You're just like, I'm on my own thing, I'm doing my own thing, like. But like when you're clear and sober, it's like I'm on my thing, but I'm aware of this thing, and that's gonna to your guys' point is like I'm gonna have more fun because I'm more present, more aware. You guys are gonna have more fun, and then it's just kind of like it keeps feeding itself because I'm having fun, you're having fun, because you're having fun, I'm now having more fun, and I'm having more fun, you're having more fun, and then it just keeps going. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like, but if I'm drinking, maybe I might fucking break that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm drinking now, I'm thinking of this, and like it's happened. I remember I had this show. I think I had broken up with my girlfriend or something too, so I was already in like a weird place. But it was like in Reno, I think, and I was like drinking, smoking cigarettes, and it's like the show is always decent because like my muscle memory is just there. But I look back on that show and I'm like, that show definitely wasn't up to par, and in part it's because of drinking, smoking. Like I'm not with the people.
Yeah.
And the reality of the situation is like. You talk about passion. I love shows, man. I love performing. The exchange from crowd to performer and that give and take is like, it's just so wonderful. And so we live in a world that's so financially disproportionate, right? And it creates a lot of problems. But one of the things that I love about art is that like leapfrogs that in so many ways, because you can buy a lot of shit with money, but you can't buy people enjoying your art.
Yeah.
Truly. Right? You can pay them and they might lie to you, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's not going to be real. And so like, when you get on stage and it's like, here, I'm going to present to you guys all this stuff that I've been working on, that I edited, that I thought about, and they made sure it was fire. And I'm going to share it with you guys, and you guys being like, yeah, hitting it, getting those moments like, and like, oh, I see where he's at. And it's like, and it's like healing. It's like a healing positive energy. And then it's just the give and take. And it's just this really pure, honest thing that has to be earned.
Yeah.
You can't shortcut that. Like that's like a earned thing. It's like acknowledgement of souls. It's really, really, really amazing. And like to bring Ali up again, he's really, really awesome at that.
Yeah.
He gets you in his zone, and then there's the exchange, and you're just like, yeah, and then it's like we're all here together. And so it's like I have my way of doing it. He has his way of doing it. So I'm really interested to see like how, because we're driving the same place, but like we take different vehicles and routes.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, how can we get to the same place? Like, and I'm blanking on like a cool metaphor, but you guys understand what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So it's like not even necessary. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all comes about. And I'm just really excited, dude. It's like 2 weeks away or something is our first show. It's
super excited.
Are you guys going to get together beforehand and try to work a little something out, or are you guys just going to go for a run?
He's been super big because he just released his new record, which is really fresh, by the way. Everybody should go check it out, Satisfied Soul.
Yep.
And so he's been busy with a lot of stuff, and he lives in Istanbul, so it's like tricky to like. But I've been doing a lot of work. Like I've been listening to all of his stuff over again and like finding different scratch samples, different beats I think could be swapped in and out. And so I have a very good starting point. And then we're going to get together like a week before and like morning and night it and like figure it out. And then and then through the course of the tour, we're obviously going to find, because this is the thing, you can do a lot of preparatory work, which I absolutely do, but you'll never know for sure until you get in front of people what's actually going to work and what's not going to work. And so we're going to be coming out the gates with something very awesome, but by the end of that tour, I'm sure it's going to be even more manifested. And then moving forward, we'll have, but that's anything, right? It takes time to get somewhere.
To work it out.
You guys are going to be busy too. You guys got a gang of shows. I mean, a gang of shows. Yeah, put them up real quick. But I mean, you guys are everywhere from Ann Arbor, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Burlington.
Everywhere.
Boston,
we're going to put them up, and
Brooklyn,
we'll run through them for everybody.
Everywhere, dude. It's crazy to see that, and we're excited for it, dude. We have nothing but good thing. And I mean,
one of my favorite things, I think that when my first time when we were younger going to hip hop shows, and you're talking about this exchange between the artist and the crowd, one of the great things about it is the crowd is part of the show, and I think that some people don't know that when they show up, but then you quickly realize like, we're paying to be a part of this show in like a oblique way where you're not messing up the show, but when the MC calls for a call back, then you yell out and you have your hands up in the air, and you're feeding. The more that you're feeding that the performer, the more they're going to feed back to you, just like you're saying, totally reciprocal.
Exactly, but the thing is, us as performers have to make it so you want to do it. Yeah. Right. So that's not to keep talking about Ali here, but that's one of the things he really is good at. Whereas like you'll go to a rap show and the rappers will just be like, put your hands up or do this or that. And by the 10th one, or you're like, man, like, come on, I don't want to do this shit. It's just like, it almost feels like they're reading off a script, or their placement is weird, or they're just like doing it because they're supposed to do it, or it's like, and let me tell you, man, when I go to shows, I'm a very sit in the back, not mean mug, but I'm like, I'm not necessarily engaged in the show kind of guy, right? And because I don't think a lot of people have that. I mean, brilliant rappers don't have that. Like I said, that's like a separate thing, and but Ali does. Ali is a brilliant rapper, but he's a brilliant MC. He has this captivating energy where it's like, I will say this. I will throw my hands up. Like, I will do that.
Yeah.
And so, like Tech Nine is another one who has that. Like, he just like, he could get people to do fucking anything on stage. It's like certain people just have this way that they connect with the crowd in a way where people want to give back, as opposed to like, as opposed to feel like they're like being ordered.
For sure. Yeah.
Sometimes you be at a rap show and be like, why
are you telling me to do
why
that?
are they demanding this from me? And
You
I
don't tell me
forget
what to
who's the
do.
comedian. He said he went to go see U2. I think it was Mike Birbiglia, but he was like, I went to go see U2 with my girlfriend, and he was like, come on, sing it. And he was like, man, I paid $300 for these tickets. Like, you sing it. Like, I ain't singing this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so like sometimes that's how it feels. You be at a show and it's like, well, why you fucking entertain me? You know what I'm saying? And so, and it's like I said, to wrap this up, is like, as performers, it's on us to get them to want to do it. That goes back to when I was talking about getting on the mic for my own solo shows and like figuring out, when do I say that? Because I've many of times said it too much. Like, hey, make noise, you're having fun. Like, you say it one too many times, you get diminishing returns. You know what I'm saying? You say it at the wrong time, diminishing returns. It's like, where in the set do they want to say it?
Yeah.
And how many times do you do that? And to where it feels like it's a reward, not a request.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky thing. And it's not like it's not something that's really easily explainable. The specifics of it aren't really explainable, right? It's more of a feeling thing. You're in that moment enough, and you do some trial and error, and you're like, okay, and then you can hear. This goes back to another thing about being sober is good. It's like your senses aren't dulled, right? So it's like I can feel where is everybody? How long? You'd be surprised that like even waiting like 2 more seconds before you bring a beat in, you know, because like people are cheering. Hear him to cheer for the exact amount of dissipation. So when you hit him with that
They
the
can
next
hear
beat,
it.
it's gonna have way more impact.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
even 2 seconds, right? It's like it's like surfing, man. It's like you create this energy with the crowd, and you're on this wave, man. You don't want to fall off the surfboard, you know? It's like, oh shit.
Back to the wave.
Yeah, man.
So before we wrap this up, we're getting closer to the end here. Do you have any guilty pleasure music? I know we were listening to an interview that you were
man.
on. You were
don't
talking
even
about.
want to know, man. I
Yeah.
like all kinds of bullshit.
You were talking about Billie Eilish,
Saying that she was one of your
which
inspirations.
was
Oh, I definitely. That's not even a guilty.
That's
pleasure,
not guilty.
man. Billie Eilish is
Nice.
dope.
so yeah,
Oh man, like I like, yo man. If you looked at my iTunes,
it'd be crazy.
like there is some fucking cheesy shit.
Yeah,
But I just look at it as like, okay, how would I say this? Like, it's okay to have some candy, man, but like that's not all I eat.
Yeah.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like my diet is mainly, you know, like whole foods, vegetables, lean
Healthy,
protein. You know what I mean? But like, I did eat some ice cream today too. You know what I'm saying? And like, also, I think that when I was younger, I was a lot more like kind of like standoffish and this or that. But when you get older, man, and like you're secure with who you are and what you've done, like
Yeah.
I know how hard I work to create fresh, interesting, creative work. I know how much I practice scratching to be razor sharp for everybody. So like my ego, if I like some cheesy song because it makes me happy, my ego is okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't change who I am, who DJ Abilities, that brand represents. Like my brand is still gnarly ill, even if I like Ocean Eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all good.
Yeah.
And like I think that's just me being self-confident in myself and who I am. And like it's art. Like if something makes you feel good, like
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
fuck
all
yeah.
good,
Life's too
you know
short.
what I mean?
Life's too
Particularly,
short,
like,
dude.
Yeah, to
music,
not enjoy
you know?
yourself.
Yeah.
You're a badass dude,
Yeah.
dude. And that being said, what does hip hop mean to you? Just a quick little, one quick answer. What does it really mean to you still now in this time of day?
Man. I mean, the first word that comes in my head is beauty. I think
nice.
it's beautiful, man. I think it's a beautiful form of expression. I think it's a beautiful thing that unifies people. I think it's there's a lot of different aspects of humanity. And like, let's say there was aliens, right, that came to Earth and started observing humanity and they started judging humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hip hop would be like in the pro column. You know what I mean? They'd be like, well, they're fucking at war all the time and this and that. Like, I don't know. this hip hop thing though, this
Pretty
is
positive.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
We gotta take this back to Zektar or wherever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
hell
like
yeah.
it's a manifestation of the good qualities of humanity.
I love that.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Just to let you know while we have you, your music has definitely changed our lives and inspired a lot of good things that came from your
inspired
music
us.
to put us on the path of amazing hip hop and you setting the bar high for what good hip hop should be.
Standard, yeah.
And I mean, not looking back, being like, no. You said it, and what we're looking for. And to this day, a lot of people aren't even actually
close. Yeah,
people aren't even fucking close. So that being said, I mean,
thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for everything, man.
You're very welcome, fellas. I appreciate that, and it's when you guys first reached out to me, it was like I could tell. Oh, these guys actually really do appreciate what I do and what I've done. So I was like, I know it took a while for this to happen, but I was like, it stayed in my head because I got the sense that that's where you guys were coming from, and having talked to you, like that's been reaffirmed to be true.
Thank you.
So I appreciate being on here.
Yeah.
Please keep spreading the word of
hell yeah,
Billy D and Eyedea, and
we definitely will. Where can we tell people to go find your work where it helps you the most?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I'm working on my website. Finally gonna get DJ Ability's website up, but it's not done yet. Working with Ali now, I've kind of put a lot of stuff on hold because I'm like, okay, I got to be razor sharp for this tour, and then I got to get some new merch and stuff. Which funny enough, man, I just got the new design for my new shirt, man, today, which I feel like is kind of poetic.
Perfect.
It's my 2 years. It's so fucking cool. Shout out to Ewok. He's the guy who did the E&A cover, the red art cover.
Yeah.
He did that art, and he came up with the design for my new shirt. He crushed it. It's so awesome.
That's sick as fuck.
So right now, funny enough, like just like my social media accounts, like Instagram is the one that I use the most. Like you follow me on Instagram, that's where you're gonna find what I'm doing the most. But shortly, like when I get back from tour, I'm gonna have my own website, and that'll be the place to go. And just wherever you get your stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like people throw a lot of shade at Spotify, which I think is rightfully so in some regards, as far as the payout to artists, and like there's definitely problems with that. But like I just want people to listen to the music and appreciate the music, enjoy the music, however you get it, listen to it, share it, and then come to a show and like buy a shirt or something. You know what I mean? Because as independent artists, supporting financially is important for us. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. So like, I guess, yes, to answer your question, like come to a show, buy a shirt.
Hell yeah.
And learn about my shows. Currently, Instagram is probably the best way to find out about
We're going to post.
But currently, go to brotherali.com. That's where you buy the tickets for this show or this tour we have.
We're going to post up the show dates. We'll also run through them for the people, and then we'll also repost them on our IG and kind of help out there. Not that we're going to help you out anymore. You're going to get plenty of people coming out because everyone's excited about the tour.
But we're going to spread the word.
We'll do as best we can, though.
We're spreading the word.
Everything helps.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything helps. So
that's awesome.
That's it. That's all that matters.
Great.
I appreciate you guys doing
One
that.
of my favorite things before we let you go, I just want to let you know one of my favorite things to do. I've talked about it on here is to go on YouTube and go to old E&A songs and then go to the comment section and find people that are still finding your music today, a month old that are saying, I just found this, it saved my life, and all these great things. It's awesome to see because the impact that you guys made and the lasting impact that's going to last forever, even after we're all gone, it's going to still be here.
This goes back to what you were saying about the ahead of its time, which kind of evolved into timeless, right? Is what he's saying is like, I just got that today. I was reading somebody from like South Africa or something, who just found our music. It's like, and that's, to me, that's really, really, really cool.
Amazing.
That's one of the benefits of being an artist is I might not have some crazy 401k or whatever, but like this like lasting artistic stamp is really, really cool. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Before you go though, one last thing for me too. I mean, you're so influential. I had to show our kids. You know what I mean? My daughters and all them know about your music. That's how legit it is. So.
So yeah.
That being said, man, we appreciate the fuck out of you.
You're an amazing DJ, amazing producer, and probably even a better person. Seeing you kind of come into a family, man, and be a father now. We're both fathers, so we find that the influence there, and also your fitness and your health journey
more power to you on
has
that.
all been super inspiring. So thank you for everything you've done, and we can't wait to look forward to seeing all the new music and see you out on tour.
And the new Abilities Fitness Instagram.
We're looking for that.
We're looking for that now. Now we're gonna add it.
Going, dude.
Fucking he's
Look
getting,
at this guy.
He's yoked. He's yoked.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and really, really hope to talk to you very soon.
Fuck yeah, man. Have a good night, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Hey, everybody,
sir.
give it up for the one, the only DJ Abilities. Love you, brother. Thank you
brother.
so
Peace.
much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, brother.
Peace.
Out of the bottomless pit. Out of the bottomless pit.
Got more kids.
Out of the bottomless